Hey guys, Lou here from Jersey Shore Fabricators. So we went through cleaning up a shop and how to just take care of yourself. Remember what I said about, you come first. Your house comes first. So that's all done, and then what happens? A new project shows up. So what do we got here? We got a 91 GMC Jimmy. It's typical of what you find between the $1,000 and $1,500 range. As you can see, just in what is here, it's going to need quite a bit of work. So I'm going to walk you through it. What do you have to do to plan out a project? These full-size trucks, they're great. They got full frames underneath them. They got solid axles underneath them. V8, air conditioning, big cushy seats. They make great dual-purpose trucks. And the nice thing about getting a truck at a cheap price like this, you can make it whatever you want. There's no rules. Even if you have a numbers matching truck, it's still just a full-size Chevy truck. There's 3 million of them, 10 million of them out there. So I'm going to walk you through this, how to plan this out. What do you want to do? What's your budget going to be? Are you going to sell it? What are you going to sell it for? How much do you want to put into it? How much realistically is worth putting into it? What I like to call is the juice worth the squeeze? So we're going to get into it. We're going to make a list. We're going to do some shopping, and we're going to get going on it. Now, anybody who knows me knows I love a square body Chevy. I had one years and years and years ago. I've always wanted another one. So when this one was offered to me, I just couldn't pass it up. I mean, yeah, it looks like hell right now. But, we've got some plans for this. We're going to see how things go with the budget. We're going to see how things go with time. This truck can go in any number of directions. So we're going to grab a pen and paper. We're going to start going over it. I'm going to show you what all is going on with this truck. So what do we got? We got a 305 with throttle body fuel injection. Very typical of what you see on a lot of these old full-size Chevy trucks. But what we have is we have a complete motor. I mean, look at this thing. It is more or less unmolested. Sure, we're missing the cap for the windshield washer tank, I'm sorry, the radiator overflow tank here. But I mean, even the silly light is here. These come out, use it as an inspection light if you break down on the side of the road. All the air conditioning equipment is intact. The fan shroud is intact and looks great. The air intake tract is here. That looks great. We have all the factory wiring. It doesn't look like anything's been jacked up on it. I mean, we have a complete engine here, which is a prime candidate when you're going to do a restoration. You don't have to go hunting for all those little parts. These air intake tubes are getting to be like hen's teeth anymore. The ballast resistors, all the air conditioning equipment. How many cars and trucks do you see from back then that, all the air conditioning stuff is gone because, I get more power without the air conditioning. I hate that kind of thinking. The factory jack is still here. I mean, there's so much potential. And the cow's in good shape. Everything's kind of rusted, but there's a good, solid base here. Let's move on to the rest of the car. Okay, so we throw a little fuel in the fuel tank, no start condition. So you get your project home, the famous last round one part, and you get the same thing. So what do? Well, you got a couple different options. There's a couple different troubleshooting procedures that you can follow. You can just go for broke, throw a little fuel down the throttle body, like in the case of our Jimmy here, see what happens. That's what we're going to do. We're going to see if we get it to run just on gasoline. If it does, then we know we got a fuel pump issue. If it still doesn't start, then we know we got an ignition issue. When it comes to basic troubleshooting, it's a simple matter of divide and conquer. Is it fuel? Is it ignition? We all know engines need three things to run. You need fuel, you need air, you need exhaust. Or as some people like to say, suck, bang, and blow. One of my favorites. So, in this case, we're going to try throwing a little fuel in it. Let's see what happens. Now, looking at the interior, well, it's typical of what we're going to see on these mid-90s trucks. The dash pad is completely wasted. The good news is that there are really nice overlays available for fairly cheap through a couple of different sources. The air conditioning vents are here. The trim pieces are here. It's a factory stick truck. It's a 305 with an SM465 3-speed transmission. Yes, the one with the granny low gear that everybody likes to talk about. It's got a regular shifter lever for the four-wheel drive, not like the new trucks with a push button or a knob. The factory center console is still here. The whole dash is complete. Somebody added a tachometer, but we'll take care of that in short order. Even the rear view mirror is still intact. The headliner, yeah, it's typical of a GM headliner. We got a piece of the seat that fell off. But I look underneath this seat cover and, well, that seat bottom is not in bad shape at all. The other side, not so good. Looking into the back seat, well, the original factory rear seat is here. All the seat belts are here. The spare tire is still here. Somebody cut in speakers and all kinds of fun stuff. We go around the truck and we see it's got the typical kind of rust, scratches, dent. But overall, the body is not in bad shape. It desperately needs to be painted. We've got a rust issue on the roof, but I'll show you how to take care of that. That is completely savable. So now we're gonna get out the pad and paper and we're gonna start making a list. So the first thing we want to do is we want to get a fresh battery in this, and we want to start testing out the electrical system. Now, the 90s were kind of weird with cars because they were trying to do things sort of like the Europeans were doing, but that's the cool thing about an old truck like this. You know, this little service light that's here, you know, the fact that that still works, okay? That still works, it still retracts and goes in and out. That's cool, all right? That's how you know you got something that somebody actually cared about. All right, and that's the difference when you go out to find a project. You got to find something that has not been hacked on and beat on. If you could find a nice original vehicle like this, even if it needs every body panel, it doesn't matter. You can put them on. You can do this stuff at home, all right, or bring it to a shop. But you're starting off with a nice solid base. Okay, so now at this point, what we want to do is we want to just start checking everything out. Lights, whether or not it's going to start. We'll throw some fresh fuel in it. Now, the guy I got this from told me that he did run it last year. You know, it's one of those, you know, last ran when parked 16 years ago. We all know that story, right? So we're going to throw some gas in it, and, well, if it blows up, it blows up. It doesn't matter because we got other plans for it. But, you know, I'm going to walk you through some of the processes of what to do on your vehicle. You know, you bring home another non-runner and your wife or girlfriend are losing their minds. You can say, but it's a nice stock truck. This won't take much to get going. All right, so I threw a little fuel down the fuel injector, down the throttle body. Let's see. Okay, so we have a running vehicle now. Now we can't drive it because there was a problem with the master and slave cylinder for the clutch. That is actually out of the vehicle. I'm going to show you a bleeding procedure on that to get that going. And then we'll see if we can actually move it under its own power. Now that we know that the motor is good, it sounded good for that couple of seconds. I feel confident about going forward and cleaning things up, putting it back in, and we'll see how it does. I'm going to finish troubleshooting that fuel problem. Most likely it's going to be the fuel pump. The thing's been in there since 1991. It's never been replaced. The truck's been sitting for 16 years, so my guess is that it's probably bad. Very bad. So throttle body, and right away we see that there's zero fuel in there. So that means that most likely the fuel pump's not running, but let's go turn the key on and find out. And sure enough, there is nothing coming out of there. So at this point, we're going to do a little bit of electrical troubleshooting. So now, working without a book on the wiring diagram, on most vehicles, if you go back by the fuel tank, in this case we're right by the fuel tank on our Jimmy here, there's a electrical connector. Most vehicles are going to have this. If you pop that off and stick a test light in, you'll see whether or not you have power. If you have power, most likely you have ground. In this case, again, given the age of everything, we're going to go ahead and assume that the fuel pump has probably gone bad. So the other thing about this is that the light is not as bright as it should be. So I'm going to put a voltmeter on it and see whether or not we actually have 12 volts back here. And then I'm going to look at the diagram and see if we're supposed to have 12 volts back here, depending on how long the key is on. Most fuel-injected vehicles, the fuel pump is controlled by the ECM or PCM or whatever it's called on your particular vehicle. On these old trucks, it's called an ECM, Electronic Control Module. Now, while I'm crawling around underneath here looking at the fuel system, now is a good time to start taking a look at what you're going to be needing. On the driver's side of the vehicle here, you see that the rear passenger floor compartment, the inner rocker, the outer rocker, they all need to be replaced. But when you look at the frame and you look at everything else under the truck, it's really not in bad shape. You know, the pinion seal is leaking on the rear axle. The output shaft seal is leaking on the transfer case. Another one with the automatic chassis lubrication system. As we come back here, we see a sort of a homemade dual exhaust system. The shocks aren't in bad shape. The floor in the cargo area, although it's covered in grease, is looking pretty good. The inside of the rear wheel wells look pretty decent. We have some rust up here at the back of the cargo area, most likely from a leaky seal. That's all stuff that can be replaced and fixed. We're going to fabricate some parts once we get the whole truck torn apart. We have this custom homebrew trailer wiring system here. But all in all, it is a pretty solid truck. Just a few pieces that have to be welded in, and it shall be as good as new. Now, as we go around the rest of the outside of the vehicle, clearly it needs paint. The rear window only goes down from the key switch or from the dash switch. So we're going to have to take a look at that. The rear bumper is pretty waffled. Not a big deal. They are available for these trucks. Fairly affordable. I'm thinking I'm going to make a set of custom bumpers for it anyway with an outside spare tire carrier. Moldings, they're going away. I absolutely hate these moldings. These wheel well trim pieces, they're available. Fairly affordable. The running boards are going away. We're going to send these saw blade wheels right back to 1993. They called and they want them back. This truck also has the sliding rear windows on it, which was an option. Again, down the passenger side, this fender is waffled, so a new fender for that. This door is in good shape. There's no rust on it. The front bumper is actually in really pretty good shape. It's not bent. It's not destroyed. So this may actually go out to get re-chromed, or like I said, I'm probably end up making a set of bumpers for it. The grille surround has to be replaced. However, this middle section, rather than doing the typical billet type of grille that people put in there, I'm thinking I might want to do something from a new Denali truck. I really like those grills. I just got to see what the sizes are and how the fitment is. On the driver's side, the fender's not in terrible shape, but it's probably going to end up getting replaced. There's a new hood that came with this truck. This one's pretty rusted. The A-pillars are in good shape. The drip rails are in good shape. This door is trashed. The seats are trashed. You know, but this is going to get a whole new interior kit in it anyway. All of this is available aftermarket. You know, and you know that's the cool thing about these trucks is most everything you need you can get for it. Got a little bit of work to do right here. We'll get that taken care of. But all in all, it's a pretty solid truck for being out here on the Jersey Shore with the amount of rust and salt that we have. And I just love the fact that the engine compartment is completely unmolested. Factory jack is in here, none of the wiring is hacked up. I'm absolutely in love with it. Alright, so we give the truck a once over. We're going to start writing down our punch list of things to buy and things to do. We're going to get this whole thing blown apart, get the body off the chassis, get everything blasted and ground down, and start doing some metal work and get everything fixed. So next time you see us and next time you see the truck, we'll have it completely disassembled and ready to start doing some repairs. Until then, peace.